Mike, the fighters have just left the ring. I mean, it was a split decision. I know they were both talking about knockouts and so forth, but we got to see Jake Paul go the distance, really be tested against a seasoned champion from the UFC and Tyron Woodley. He was disappointed, Jake was, but what did you make of his performance?
Yeah, look, listen, the whole thing was a rather entertaining affair, but in terms of boxing, I mean, it wasn't the best fight I've ever seen in my life, and that's an understatement. I thought Tyron Woodley was once again a victim of himself. He never showed up, he never pressed the action. You know, on the rare occasion that he did go for it, when he let go, when he pulled the trigger, he looked dangerous, but it was too far, it was few and far between. Most of the time he was waiting for Jake to attack him, and he was trying to counter. Tyron's the shorter guy. He's going to get on the inside. He's going to lead the dance and be the aggressor. As I say, on the rare occasion that he did that, he did look dangerous, but he just allowed Jake to outwork him. I thought Jake, considering where he's at and how long he's been boxing for, I thought he gave a good account of himself. Was he a little sloppy? Yes. Could he have done better? Yes, of course. But as I say, I think that's only his 4th ever fight against Tyron Woodley. I thought all in all he did well for himself. I actually thought it was a clear decision for Jake Paul. You know, the fact that it was a split was good for Tyron. That was kind of a moral, what's the word I'm looking for?
Moral victory,
a saving grace, whatever it was. You know, because he lost that fight. Unfortunately, he could have won it had he worked more. But he was too timid. He did what Tyron Woodley does.
Talking to Jake Paul just now, ringside, he was very tired. He wasn't full of the chat that we're used to. And I think no matter how much talk you've got in you and the build up to the fight, that was a man that went the distance, felt emotionally fatigued, feel like he didn't turn up the way he wanted to. He said his legs were jelly before this fight. You can probably attest to that. The fact you don't always feel your best, even if it's a big occasion.
No, listen, you very rarely go in there and feel your best. And to be honest, again, it's only his 4th fight. You learn to deal with those big day nerves as you get more further down in your career. You know, it's very, very hard. You know, just simple things like breathing. You know, you forget to breathe sometimes. You're like, why was I so tired? It's like, okay, well, when I was throwing punches, I wasn't even breathing. So you're going to get tired. You know, it was a learning curve for Jake, and he will get better. You know, I thought he showed a lot of raw ingredients. He definitely wobbled Tyron a couple of times. He showed some good snaps, some good sharp shots. But again, it was the kind of performance I expected to see from somebody 4 fights into their career. And by that, I'm giving him a compliment. I'm not saying a negative. Didn't look like a Canelo Alvarez, but he's not supposed to. He's had 4 fights. It was a solid performance. He did well. He beat Tyron Woodley, like I thought he would do, to be honest. Even though I picked Tyron, I did that out of a debt of gratitude to the mixed martial arts community. I thought Jake would outwork him, and that's ultimately what we saw.
And actually spoke to Logan Paul just off camera moments ago as well, and he said he felt proud. He said he was glad he saw Jake go the difference, show the hard work he's been putting in training. Both of their cardio seemed pretty good. But for Tyron Woodley now, what does this do to his legacy, if you like, in the fighting world? I mean, you can't take away what he's done. But, you know, still the narrative of it's a YouTuber, etc.
Yeah, well, first of all, he's going to go get a tattoo. Right, that's the first thing.
Jake said he's going to enforce that.
Well, he has to. Listen, if you're a man of your word and Tyron made that bet, you're going to follow it through. Simple as that. Otherwise, he loses his man card. Simple. Listen, Tyron's legacy is set, right? He was a great champion. He was a great champion for the UFC. That's never going to go away. But the fact is he's almost 40 years old. He looked okay. He did himself proud. You know, he showed up, but he got beat. And he got beat off a YouTuber. Okay, so in terms of his legacy, it doesn't really affect what he did in the past, but it will affect what he can do and his options going forward.
Well, in terms of what's next for Jake, we know he has this long hit list from the Diaz brothers, Kamaru Usman, he's put Canelo Alvarez in there down the line, obviously a little bit.
I'll be honest, I want to jump in there with him after seeing that tonight. I'm like, look at all this hype. People are going crazy for him.
You want back in, Mike?
You got to admit, listen, it was a pretty enjoyable event and quite the spectacle, if I'm honest. So, yeah, listen, I was sitting there watching. My God, this is easy work. I mean, if you want to throw some cash at me, Jay, I'll do it. I'm only joking, but I'm a little bit serious because I'm like, man, this is the easiest sparring session of my life. For Jake, he's got tons of options. Tons of options. A lot of people would fight him because he's very beatable. He's very beatable. I mean, you even mentioned Tommy Fury. I don't think they'll even take that fight. They want someone that's big, that's got a big name, that's a marquee pay-per-view kind of draw, but somebody that's at the end of their career that isn't really going to pose too much of a threat. And for that reason, you know damn well they ain't going to call me.
Well, you heard it here first. Mike wants the fight. But a quick word on Tommy Fury and, of course, on Daniel Dubois, their US debuts. Both good night for the Brits, basically. Both did great.
My word, Daniel Dubois. I mean, just incredible. He looked fantastic. I mean, listen, it was a great win over a great opponent, you know. Yeah, I mean, I said coming into this fight, he was very athletic. He's very skilled, you know, and that's what he showed. He showed to the US audience against a tough opponent. Took him out there round one, right? First round. Looked sensational. Tommy Fury, again, you know, like I said about Jake, still looked like a novice, still finding his feet. Tommy has a lot of, you know, the raw ingredients that you need for a boxer. He's got the aggression, he's got the skill, he's got the physicality, but he needs to calm down a little bit. He needs to control his range and control his feet. He falls into the clinch far too often, but that comes with time.
Well, we certainly had fun here tonight,
we
didn't we, Mike?
did.
And the crowd's turned up. We'll send it back to you guys.